Hello and welcome back guys to part 4 on how to build your own quadcopter series. Now in this video we are going to build the frame, the motors and also put the ESCs on the quad. We are also going to solder the ESCs to the power distribution board. Now if you guys have not seen my older videos, please go and check them out as they are going to understand what I am actually telling over here, or it will be very hard to understand this. So now we have been talking about the alien 450 quadcopter frame. So now guys, I'm going to show you how to build this step by step, but it is basically the same procedure for any frame you want to build. So now guys, I'm sorry because these for the frame I've put it on with Loctite, so the screws have Loctite on them. So these screws that are on this frame have got Loctite on them, and it's pretty hard to remove this. So that's why guys, I'm going to be building the same thing with its brother, the Helia 450. Now these both are the same frame, they have the same thing, just that the 450 alien is actually a bit more bigger than the actual 450. That's the only difference, except with that the both frames mounting methods is absolutely the same. In fact, this arm right here is from the 450, not the 450 alien, because I've actually broken the original one. So it's the same thing, it's the same mounting way for any of this. So now as soon as you open the package, you're going to get a couple of things. You're going to get two frame plates, the upper one and the bottom one, some 4 standoffs like this. Now, and after that 4 arms obviously, and then some screws. Now you may or may not get an Allen key that's already there. So this is an Allen key for those who don't know what this is. Now you're also going to get a board like this and also some spongy rubber standoffs. Now unless until you're doing something with FPV, you don't need this. So keep this aside, keep it safe because you will need it later. So every frame should have these much components at least. Now if you're going with kits, you're going to also get propellers or whatever that kit includes. So that's the basic part of the frame. Now to tighten this, again, always start everything with doing on the top layer, because the top layer usually has more brackets and that's going to help you set more guidelines. So guys, when you're doing it for the first time, do not use Loctite. So what is Loctite? It's kind of like a super glue that holds everything together and does not allow the screws to come off if they are once tightened. Now you're going to get two kind of screws. One is going to be quite longer and the other one is going to be shorter. The shorter one should be used for the quad as they are the ones that are built for this. The longer ones are used to mount the motors. So guys, go ahead and build it. I don't think I need to tell you how to tighten the screws, but yes, do remember one thing: do not over tighten the screws. Do not get the screws too tight. So I'm just going to do one for the people who are not knowing how to do this, but it's just simple. Tighten it a bit more. So guys, and one more thing that you want to go about while tightening is ensure that all of them are already aligned with the other threads. So like I'm going to tighten it like this. So I'm ensuring that the thread is aligned everywhere. So why do you need to ensure this? Well, if you just tight one and it's offset a bit, what's going to happen is the other ones are also going to get offset. And by the time you're going to put the last screw, it's going to be a really, really tough one to get in because all of them are not turned. Now, after you have done that, switch to the other side of the Allen key and give a bit of pressure. So now, at one place, you're going to feel the Allen key that's just flipping over itself. So when you find that, just stop it. Do not go more as you can damage the Allen key and the quad itself. Now if you guys are using some machine to do this, please be very, very careful, as if you get the torque too much, then the frame may crack. If you get it too less, then it might shake off in midair. So please just make it sure it's as tight as it should be and not just come off like that. So I think you guys can do everything else by themselves. Now the other thing that you guys need to look about is if your quad frame comes in inbuilt with the power distribution board. If your frame does come inbuilt with the power distribution board, then do not assemble the frame first. Mount the ESCs, then assemble the frame, as it's pretty easy to do it later. So now let's talk about putting on the ESCs onto the board. Again, I will not be showing this how to do this step by step, as it's a bit tough to solder this. Now if you guys have already bought a piece, the power distribution board with the inbuilt sockets, then you guys don't need to worry about this step. Now when you guys are doing this, please make sure that the connections are not shorted out, as if that happens, your ESCs might burn off. And later on, just go and start soldering each and every one of them. Now before soldering anything, you have to desolder the plugs that are already coming on the ESCs. Now please don't go and cut the wires, as if you do that, each motor is going to have a slight variation in performance. So guys, do not go and cut off the wires, but instead you're going to get heat sinks like this. So this is the heat sink. All you got to do is use your nail and just get it off, and use a blunt knife or something like that to just cut off the heat sink and not the wire itself. And after that, you can find the plug and then generally desolder them. That's how the desoldering process works in this. After that, just solder everything onto the board, and after that, to mount the ESCs, mount them as close as the motors as you can, as putting them closer to the motors will also get them in the range of the props. And if that happens, it's a good thing, because as soon as the props are going to be there, you're going to get coolant on the ESC and it's not going to overheat. So that's going to be there. After you have done that, take some of these zip ties and just tie them down. You don't want to use tape, as not all tape allows heat transfer, and if it doesn't allow heat transfer, this thing is going to get too hot and eventually shut down, or it's going to cause wear and tear. So use zip ties as it's recommended. Now the next thing that you want to do is mount the motors itself. Now if you go to the instructables page, I've actually flipped this around, but this is also a way to do this. So now to mount the motors, use the longer screws comparatively. And now guys, in some quads or some frames, the motors are not going to fit, as what's going to happen is the screw is going to become too long, as in my case over here. The screw is too long so that it might short the motor. Now you never want this to happen, as if the motor gets short, it's going to burn. So guys, make sure that the screw does not come intact with the coil. The easiest way to do it is put it right under the frame, or where the motor is going, or where the screw is going to fit, and just check if it's going above the rim level. So they are going to moving above the moving level. If it is going above, let's just say mine is a bit more longer and it's coming up to here, then I would not recommend you to use these screws and get another pair for them, as that's going to in turn short the ESCs and the motors. They're going to short both of them. So now guys, that's all there is to it. Remember, I'll just summarize up. When you're building the quad, do not put too much force on those screws. When you're making the motor, when you're putting the motors in them, please make sure that you have tightened it just enough and not too much, as if you do it too much, it's going to short. The next thing that you want to do over here is also take a magnifying glass and really close in when you're soldering this. Make sure that every component is soldered properly, and after that, do not cut off the wires. If anything happens off, to remove them, always use heat sinks and just slightly cut off or peel off the heat sink and then do the process. And then the last part, I wanted also to tell you guys that it is a very good idea to put a bit of glue that's going to be hot glue. So hot glue, you just get a hot glue gun and put it on these connections so that they don't short out in the future. I would also recommend putting the hot glue on the wires and also mounting them on the frame, as that would ensure that no stress is going to come onto the components or to the solder itself, and in flight or mid-flight it's not going to come off. And trust me guys, mine has come off at mid-flight and it's not good. Yes, and one more thing I forgot to tell you about is the plug itself. So after you have removed all the plugs from the ESCs, just take one and get two wires and solder that on as well. So solder that on, and as that gonna be, and you can connect that plug to your motor, sorry, not your motor, to your battery, as you don't need to again remove the battery. So that's gonna be a good thing to do, is just get a wire and just after you remove one of these plugs, just put it onto this. Usually if you're getting the board that already has all the plug solders, you don't need to do any of these steps and just go and mount everything onto the quad. So that's it guys. In the next video we are going to also do about how to get the center of gravity right, and even how to control this, how to configure the CC3D board. So thank you guys and see you next time.